So, welcome to the session on Microsoft Endpoint Manager Community tools. And my name is Jörgen Nilsson, and I will be co-hosting this with my good friend Ronni from Denmark. We have some nice caps on us on our pictures as well. I live in Sweden, which is kind of apparent, and for a company called OneWin. And with me, I have Ronni. You can take it from here, Ronni.
Thank you, Jörgen. Well, my name is Ronni Pedersen. I'm working as a cloud architect, consultant, focusing on Microsoft 365 and mainly Endpoint Manager. I'm part of Pinto, a Danish-based consulting house that focus 100% on Microsoft 365 and Azure. And I've also been an MVP for 15 years. So this session today, we will give you a short introduction to some of our favorite community tools that we use on a daily basis. Most of the tools will be 100% related to Endpoint Manager / Microsoft Intune, but some of the tools will also include integration with Azure Active Directory, conditional access, Windows, well, maybe even on-prem technologies or hybrid technologies like Configuration Manager. Basically, the tools that we love and use every day. So why do we need these community tools? Well, before we begin, let's talk a little bit about why we actually need this. You know, at the end of the day, most customers is buying a service from Microsoft. So why is it necessary to add these community tools on top of it? Well, first of all, the demands from customers and security requirements is changing regularly every day, and for some customers, these tools are all about filling out the gaps between the demand has arrived and until Microsoft has something that they use. The Microsoft platform is also often trying to reach the broader audience, and if you want something special done or have specific scenarios, then community tool can also could also fit the gaps. Sometimes it's about automation and saving time. Many of you and many of us has often trivial tasks that we need to repeat over and over again. Maybe we are moving stuff from production or from test to production. Maybe you're consulting that is doing the same for hundreds of customers. And in this case, automation is a big key player. So, oops, I just clicked the wrong. I have so many screens here. So basically, it's a win-win for everyone. If we can both increase quality and save time and automate stuff that we don't really want to do, then it's really a good thing. So basically, we think that the people writing all these tools are our heroes. So if you meet them somewhere in the hallway, make sure you give them a big hug and a thank you for spending all the hours and time that they put into these tools. So let's take a look at the first tool. One of the first tools that I will show you today is the DC Toolbox. The DC Toolbox is created by Daniel Kronlund from Sweden. And the main reason that this tool is one of my favorite is that it actually enabled me to. Oops, why is this switching automatically? Why it's enabling me to enable my PIM roles directly from a command prompt, and or from a PowerShell. So Daniel, he has a website. Let me just go back here and a blog where you can read all about this tool. And this tool has a lot of different features that you can use. But the main reason that I use this tool is basically that I don't have any administrative privileges in my own environment, but also don't at my customers before I have actually elevated myself with PIM. So, but instead of reading the blog post, let's see if we can find something where we can actually demo it. I've basically just copied the documentation that Daniel has on his website, and you can use a few commands to install the tool or update it, and then you can actually get these examples of code that he has written. So let's try to run this. I've already installed the tool, so I'll just run the script. So here you can see that he has a bunch of different stuff, and the one that I'm looking for is activate Azure PIM roles directly. So if I take the choice number 3, then it's copied all the code to my clipboard, and I can basically create a new script and paste everything in here. And then you can see that there are some modules that needs to be installed, and you need to connect with Azure AD. And then you can basically use this enable role here to get what you want. I've already installed everything, so I don't need to run this. So basically, I can just go enable DC PIM roles, and that's basically all I need to type if I need to evaluate myself. I can always specify the commands, but I can also just execute the role, and then hopefully I will get prompted what I want to be. If I want to be an Intune administrator, global admin, global reader, or whatever. In this case, I just want to be global admin. That's the easiest part. I need to give a reason. I'll do that. Demos. And how many hours? I think, well, 10 hours should be okay. Now let me just take 16. And then it will activate my role, and it will also tell me when my role is ending. Hopefully in a few seconds. Here you go. You can see, no, it's still running. It's actually scrolling. Here you can see until tomorrow morning at 11 p.m. So no, a.m. actually. So so that's why that's when my privileges will be removed again. So first demo and first tool. So I really love this tool, and I highly recommend using it. So let's go back to the slide and see what the next tool is. The next tool is about Windows Update and Compliance Book. I've been working a lot with Windows Update and Compliance and trying to move customers from Configuration Manager to Windows Update. But one of the things that's really lacking right now in the Microsoft platform is the reporting. And of course, you can integrate update compliance, log analytics, and get some of the built-in reports that Microsoft have built. But it's not really a super fancy experience. But luckily, these guys over at the MS Endpoint Manager team or MS Endpoint Manager site has built this great solution workbook where you can actually take the same data and see them in a much richer and nice view. So let's go to my environment and see what it looks like. First of all, they have the website here where you can see everything, or the block that describes how you set it up. It's basically just a report that you copy from GitHub and put it into your environment. There's a few policies that you need to put in place in order to get all the data that is required. And so let's go in and see how it's set up. So inside my environment, I have to warn you, my environment is pretty boring because we don't have that many users. But inside of reports, inside of your Endpoint Manager portal, you have the Azure Monitor section down here. And if you have set up log analytics, then you can go in here and specify the diagnostic settings that you want. And if I edit that, you can see that I'm logging from my devices for half a year, and then I'm logging to my log analytics workspace. And basically, that's all the configuration that is needed. I can go into my workbooks, and then I can take the file directly from the update side. If I scroll down a little bit here, you can see that the file should be right here on GitHub. So I can, if I click this link, I'll go directly to to the file that is needed. And then I can go in here and simply click New Report and paste all the information in here. If I run that, you will see the data from my environment. And as you can see, I have some really nice users. All of my machine is up to date. And here you can see the timeline. You can see the readiness state. You can see delivery optimization, where you can actually see where clients is downloading from. We have a very low rate of delivery optimization, as everybody is working on different locations. Of course, we have a very poor sharing rate since we are never together. But this is really nice information shown in a way that is that's actually human readable. Another thing is the Windows 11 readiness section, where you can go in and see the devices that is ready or not ready for Windows 10. If I take not capable, you can see that I have in this environment 2 machines that don't have the required CPU to upgrade to Windows 11. So it's really nice. And just to compare what we have with the feature upgrade, let me go back to the slide again. This is actually screenshots from one of the customers that I'm working with, where we are upgrading clients. Here you can see we only get information. This is the top one is from the Microsoft Intune portal, where you get the feature upgrade process. And as you can see, there's a difference in the numbers because we only see the devices that's actually hit by one of these policies. Clients that is not targeted by a policy, we don't get information about that. Down here, you can see everything from the report that we're getting from Log Analytics. You can see there's a little bit gap in the numbers of clients. But one of the cool thing is that you can actually also go in and see who is ready and who is not ready for a Windows upgrade. So basically, this is not necessarily a replacement. It's really just something that's complementing the built-in solution. The next tool that I'm going to talk about is CloudLAPS. LAPS is basically a way to manage the local administrator password. And there's different solutions out there for cloud-only devices. One of the more advanced solution is the CloudLAPS Community Edition, created and built by Nikolai Andersen. Andersen, also one of the guys at the MS Endpoint Manager site. This is a solution where you have this nice web portal where you can go in and get the information of the devices. I've actually set it up in our own environment, so you can see here, this is how the portal looks like. And when it's set up, you basically just go in, search for a serial number, and then you can see when the password was updated, what the local password is, the username of the local password, the serial number, and of course the computer name. And this is all managed on the device using proactive remediation. So this is something that is very easy to set up. This also comes with some services that needs to be set up and run in Azure, and it also comes with a cost. We have seen this as very small and very large customers, and the cost is roughly 100 euros per month in Azure consumption if you want to use this. If you want to dive more into this solution, I can highly recommend the CloudLAPS guided video that is on YouTube by Dean, a Microsoft trainer and MVP. He has these short videos around 30 minutes or so that will take you completely through the process of setting this up. It's a very nice walkthrough and a very easy experience to follow. The first time I played around with this and set it up, I watched the video, I read the documentation, and I set everything up in less than 45 minutes. So it's really easy to get started. But there's also a much simpler solution. And Jörgen, maybe you have some take on that.
Absolutely. There's a solution called LeanLAPS, which I use sometimes as well, because and it's much easier or less complex, and of course probably less secure, but never mind. It doesn't require any Azure subscription, as it basically uses only proactive remediation. So you run the same script as a detection script in proactive remediation and as a remediation script as well. You can have it to clear out non-approved admins. You can have it to disable the built-in account. It can be used to encrypt the password. Then there's a PowerShell tool that will decrypt it for you as well, as you see up in this corner here, how it looks like. Basically, type the device info and you get the password. So it's really a simple solution, and it doesn't require an Azure subscription, which the other tool does. So it actually makes some sense from that perspective. We can have a quick look at it as well if you just flip screen, Roddy, to the next page and start my little demo, recorded demo. If you start it as well. We can see that it's just a proactive remediation script. As I said, the same script as detection as we do for remediation. Note that you must run it in 64-bit PowerShell, because otherwise it will fail. It will not work. And then when we look at the output, this is my test device or my lab, you can see that it ran successfully, and we can see that it actually set the password as well in that case. Now I didn't use encrypted password, so it's in clear text here. And you can also rename the local admin account that it should create and use. In the default is LC admin, and that's what I used here as well. So that was a really fast and simple way of showing how it works. And you are literally up and running in 4 minutes. It's very simple to get started
41 minutes faster than the other solution. It's a really cool tool. Thank you, Jürgen. The next tool that I'm going to show is the Intune drive mapping generator. Even if most customers is trying to move all their stuff to the cloud, if you have Azure AD only machines, it's really still needed for a lot of customers to actually access local file shares on the servers that you still have. And the simple task here is to create a PowerShell script, just like you have used logon scripts in the past. And in this case, this solution is creating a PowerShell script that will map the drive for you, but it will also do it as a scheduled task. So the script will only run once, and then it will tell the device every time a user logs in, then you should try to map this network drive. So let's take a look at what it looks like. So if we go back to all my browsers that I've opened here, the website is called intunedrivemapping.azurewebsites.net. So that's pretty easy to remember. There's actually a video tour here that you can watch if you want to, or you can watch the entire project here on GitHub. But basically, the only thing you really need is to click on this link, and then you can upload something that you've already created, or you can build from scratch. In this case, I'll just build something, and then you can delete this, or you can edit it. In this case, I'll just say edit, and I'll just do an example here and say, let's do my my server something. I'll just do server/share, give it a drive letter something, and give it a nice looking name, IT tools, whatever. And if I want to limit this to only users that are members of a specific security group, then I can filter this. I'll just remove this for now and click save, and then I have a script that I can download. I've already created one just before before we did this demo. And I'll open this with, well, let me just do more option. I think actually I have it open in here. I do. And as you can see in the top, this is basically just mapping the drive. And then you can scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then you can see that basically all it does is that it will create a scheduled task. There are some issues if you log on a machine and is not connected to the network where you have access to the file share. If you watch the video, you will see a solution and a workaround on how to do that to make sure that this is only running if you are actually having access to the file share. This is a pretty cool tool, and it's a simple way to solve an issue that a lot of customers is still struggling with. So this is a simple way to fix this. Cool. Another thing, I haven't tested this because I actually just learned about this tool 4 days ago. This is a blog post that was published last month, and I was actually working with a customer who came up with this, where we're moving everything to cloud only, and he said, how do we inform our customer or our end users about tools or about password changes, because if they are synchronized from the Azure Active Directory and only logging in Azure, these reminders will not be shown to the end users. And there's a lot of solutions out there that's actually working on checking the on-prem, but if you're only in the cloud, this might be an issue. So this solution was updated actually here in April to support the function app. But basically, what it does is that it will take do a request on the user account and ask when the password was last changed, and then based on the setting on if you have to change every 90 days or so, it will do the math, and then it will inform the user when you reach a certain amount of days that now you need to change your password, and in this case you have 10 days to do it. I've not played around with this, but I really think the tool looks so cool that I wanted to put it on the list here today, because this is definitely something that I will start looking into. This is really something that will save a lot of headache for some customers. Then we have some documentation here. We have Thomas, who has created a documentation tool. If you are trying to document everything you're doing or working as a consultant, let's take a look at his tool. This is basically just a few PowerShell lines. So you have to go in and install a few prerequisites. Then you can install the module, and then you can simply run these two commands. The one where it will create a Word document with all your Intune settings and configuration. I run this script. It will take roughly 5 minutes or so to run the script, so I've run it before. And you can see here, this is the documentation for our environment, and it has a nice logo and everything that has been set up and configured in our environment. I've been using this for some time, but I've actually started to use a different tools that allows me to select exactly what I want to document. And this tool is still great, but if you only want to document part of the tools that you're working with, then you should definitely take a look at this Intune management tool from Micke. Let me just see if I can find it here. This is the GitHub site where he has stored his file. It's also in the slide, but basically, let me just launch this up. It's starting on the other screen, so let me just make sure that I can get this moved over somehow. This gives you a nice UI that allows you to import, export, backup, duplicate, compare, document, delete, whatever things that you have in your environment. It is super simple to use. If I click here on my sign in button, I will sign into my tenant. I can sign into my customer's tenant, switch tenants, do whatever I want. And then I can go to, let's do our session catalog settings here. You can see that let me just zoom it here just to make it more readable. You can see we only have a few simple settings. I want to remove the chat icon in Windows 11. I want to have some delivery optimization, configure Outlook and OneDrive, and of course, I have some Windows Update for Business settings. That's basically all the settings that we need. And you know, many of these settings is something that is configured at many different customers or environment. So all I need to do if I want to export this is just select them and click export, and everything will be stored. And I've already done this. And if I go in here to my tenant, you can see everything that I've backed up. Here you can see my session catalog, and the JSON file is just located here. And the cool thing is that, you know, you can use this to very simple move stuff from a test environment to a production environment, from your own environment to your customer, from one customer to another or whatever. But you can also do this to compare your settings. So maybe you have a baseline settings that you need to replicate or compare with, or figure out what a customer has done. Then you can go in, let's do the update policies. I have 4 rings in our environment. And I have the ring 3, which is the broad ring that is rolling out to everyone. So I can go in and select this, and then I can compare it with one of the exports that I've done from a different tenant. So let me go back. I have my demo 2 here and update policies, and you can see this customer has, you know, whatever rings they have, and I'll just compare with this one, compare, go to the output. Of course, in the top here, you will see that we have something with name, version, and modified. The red part is where these settings are different, but I can also scroll down and see what exactly is different here. And you can see the automatic update mode. We are using reboot at schedule time, and this other configuration will only install but not reboot the machine. We have some deferral. We are not giving the user that much slack, so we have 0 days. This customer is using 7 days. How often? How can they defer? How long time are we keeping the backup? And if we scroll down here, you can see what is the restart warnings. We are using 12 hours. The other one is using 8 hours. And by comparing all these settings, you can also go in and see what was actually changed by someone since we last looked at this. I really love using this tool, and I also use this as a way to move to a way where you can actually start managing your environment as code instead of just using the UI. I think that was my last demo. It is. So Jörgen, now it's your turn.
Excellent. And I'm ready. And it worked as well, right? Excellent. Yes, excellent. That's great. Can't be better. So if we go on with our tools then, something that I find is very boring is managing drivers and BIOS and settings. That's something that just should be working out of the box, right? Unfortunately, we're not really there yet. So the guys at MS Endpoint Manager, once again, in this case Maurice, has created a great tool for us that actually can be used to download and select which BIOS versions you want on your HP machines. It's only HP for now. And then you can you put that XML info file in Azure, so it can be reached from anywhere. And then we have a nice little toast notification for the end user, so we can select and deploy it and see how it works as well. So it actually will look something like this. So you have a tool here that will upload the information for us for the different BIOS models, which versions it should use. And then we can get this nice little one that the firmware update is needed. HP is moving to a more cloud model. So if you actually have HPs and you have this, you can also check out this one, which actually isn't a community tool. That's why it's not in the slide deck, but it's still really cool. It also uses proactive remediation, the same as the other solution, for managing firmware updates and BIOS configuration for HP machines. So basically you do it in their graphic UI, and it will insert everything in your tenant for your devices. So HP has come a long way. Good, all creds to them for doing that, all this great work and helping us modernize the BIOS management as well. And to Morris, of course, for this little nice tool as well. That saves a lot of time. And again, I hope this will be solved in a more common way for everyone in the future, which is actually, it looks like as well, if we look at the roadmap. So what do we have next then? Sync ML Viewer. I think this is a very, how should we call it? Down to tech tool, which actually shows us the Sync ML stream from the MDM basically. So we can see exactly what's coming down in the different policies from our tenant to the client. We can initiate the sync of the MDM stack, and we can generate the diagnostic things we need. We can open the registry to find the policy manager in provisioning as well. So I use it when I want to know that the policy, a specific policy version, for example, is applied on the device, where we actually can see that this machine has a sync in progress. And here we can see the protocol stream itself. I can actually save the stream as well to edit it later. I can launch all the diagnostics tools, so I get the exports if I need. I can open the registry and look at provisioning policy manager, and then I can also see all the messages coming down. So here I can see my session, and I can see all the policies coming down. So if we look at the policies, we can see, for example, what's in the different policies. And that's what I like. So I actually know that the policy is updated and applied. So here I can see all the settings coming, all the CSPs being used there, and I can see what kind of policy this is. That was a BitLocker policy. I have the response codes. I have the diagnostics information as well. And when I've looked at that, I have some more policies coming down as well. So I can actually see all the policies coming down and all the payloads coming down, basically. So I really like this as well. We can see if I find this one, which is a certificate coming down. It's really simple to know what actually hit the device without generating the file and doing it, so we can see it in real time. Really cool, actually. So try it out if you have that need for you. Another one which we haven't played around with, but which is quite cool from our Petri in Finland, which actually basically is a device details view that actually I can think of incorporated in another tool or something like that as well, because it includes everything. It includes all the information of the device, basically, that we need to troubleshoot as well. Which configuration is assigned, how it's assigned, and I think that's one of the biggest thing as well. We can actually see where the assignment comes from as well. So I really like that part as well, where we can actually see that glued together in one view as well. It helps a lot, makes it a little bit simpler as well. try it out. I think he's still working on it and improving it as well. Reach out to him on Twitter as well. That's same for all of the tools we talk about here as well. Inventory in Intune. As Ronni, I think you mentioned it when you did your little start of the session, that one of the things we use community tools for is filling gaps. And right now, inventory in Intune, there's more things we like to inventory, both on the device and when it comes to applications. And the MS Endpoint Manager guys and girls have made a great work on using log analytics. So basically, this is a proactive remediation script. And I'm not going to show recording this time. I'm going to do like this so you can see what I'm doing as well. So it's a bit bigger. So basically, again, it's a proactive remediation script. We simply download it. We change 2 things in it. So we have the correct log analytics workspace and unique code to access it. And then we just import add the script here, and then we run it on the device. Of course, we use proactive remediations as we can set it to run on a schedule. So I can have it to run daily in my example here. And I have 11 devices or something that have run this nice little tool. That script then generates, and I like this. I really like this in Intune, where we can reach workbooks from the Microsoft Endpoint Admin Center. So the solution comes with 2 workbooks. Basically, just open Log Analytics, just paste, create a new workbook, just paste the whole content of the workbook file, and you get these amazing reports as well. Seeing which operating systems are being used. We have hardware inventory information. Types of devices is this, memory, device ID, last boot time, serial number, BIOS version, and everything we want. We can see storage on the devices, which are encrypted and not, how they are encrypted. We can see trends as well, and we can see more device details, basically. We also have here how much data it actually consumes, so you can calculate the costs. But that was for the devices. For the, oops, I clicked on the wrong page. I wasn't going there now. Reports, workbooks, and then go back to application instead. So application, same thing here. I can select all applications, and then I see all applications I have on my devices, all versions. I can see them in a different way when they are installed over time. Specific inventory, Microsoft 365 apps for enterprise versions. So we can, and of course, we have all this data in Log Analytics, so you can create your own dashboard, your own. Let's see if I just want to know for. There was an evil update for Google Chrome today, for example. So then we can see which version of Google Chrome my devices have. So they are actually updated as well. So it's actually quick and nice. So if you haven't checked that out, I really recommend it. And then I really hope that something like this is incorporated in the product as well. So we don't have to do this in the future. That's one of my wish lists for this year's Santa or something for Christmas. We'll see. Ronni touched base on this before to be able to show a toast notification in different scenarios. Martin Bengtsson, a fellow MVP of ours, also in Denmark, he has created a tool with basically 3 examples where it checks the on-prem AD password. So you're notified in advance when you upgrade a Windows 10 and when your computer needs a reboot. Those are the 3 examples, but basically it's a framework so you can create your own toast notifications. That's also really good, so we can we need to communicate with the users. I think this has been a trend as well. If we look back at when we did device management 10 years ago, the trend was that never disturb the user. Now it's more like tell the user what's happening and give them some sort of control when it's happening. So that's like a shift as well in how we look at device management these days as well. And then these tools are extremely important, so we actually can communicate with the end user. So moving on, Wimwich, maybe borderline modern, but still modern, because we can actually incorporate an AutoPilot.json file, so we can create an image that actually installs and put the machine in Intune as well. But basically it's for automating all your image management if you're still into that or still doing images. It's extremely simple to use, add language support, drivers, .NET framework, 3.5 and so on, remove built-in apps. So it's really easy to create a customized image, which you can use for AutoPilot purposes and modern purposes if we like as well, of course. I'm not going to show that now because it takes really long. This is a kind of nostalgic one. I actually looked at the page today, and it was launched in August 9 years ago. That's crazy, almost 9 years ago, by Sean and Dan. And basically it adds us everything we don't get, not that we don't get in Configuration Manager or in Intune when we deploy applications. And that's again giving the end user an option. We need to force something, but we can give them a chance to defer it, in this case 3 times. It also puts all our log files in exactly the same place if we need to troubleshoot. So it's still very, very valid for our modern or an Intune managed devices, because it's still something that we need. Maybe we need to uninstall something. Of course, we have other ways of doing that now with supersedence, but it can be stopping services. In this case, it could check if Firefox is running and stop me in that case. So it's more for complex, but I like to use it for a lot because then I always have the log files in the same location, so it's easier to troubleshoot. So it's still a great job as well. And then we have the OSDCloud. If we look at, if you attended room 3 before this session, David actually held a presentation on his own tool. So if you didn't, go back and listen to that recording, because I think this is extremely cool and valuable as well. Basically what it gives us in this example here, it basically gives us a PowerShell framework to create a bootable either WinPE or WinRE, so we can have Wi-Fi support. We can have it to add drivers for, in this case, I selected VMware, HP, Dell, and Surface, as you have and you have Lenovo as well, as you see in the screenshot. It also gives us possibility to select an AutoPilot JSON file as well. The cool thing is that it actually downloads the OS from Microsoft. So I can create a WinPE bootable USB drive, or whatever you like, ISO file. And then I can just boot the machine, and it will format the drive. It will contact Microsoft and download all the files from Microsoft Update. So it's actually really cool. And as I can have Wi-Fi support as well, it's a real time saver. So let's see if we can actually have a look at that without, and see if I can do, whoa, that didn't work. It jumped back for me. See if we can do it like this. So this is basically the same as you saw before. So this is when it has booted. We can have it to boot it to this UI, where I then can select version of the OS I want to install. build. In Windows 11, there's only one. Which edition I want to install, which language. I can say which drivers I want to warn. I can say do not warn me before wiping the disks. And in this case, I created 2 AutoPilot JSON files, one for standard and one for standard user. Sounds pretty boring, but that was the name I had. Or I can select to run without any AutoPilot JSON file. So it's actually really cool and can automate the whole process for us for redeploying a machine to AutoPilot as well, or convert existing machines. So instead of doing that in an OS deployment way or something, we can do it this way. We could do it in other ways as well, but this could be one of them, or have as a rescue drive somewhere as well. We can also use our custom images just by providing a URI to them and put them in Azure, for example. I think David showed that as well. So I really recommend his session as well. And if we continue that, he has made a lot of cool tools. He's done a cool tool for AutoPilot manual registration as well, as an example tool, basically. So basically, he has a way of putting PowerShell commands in Azure, so you can just run them from Shift F10. And then when you do that, it basically installs all the modules. And instead of just using the AutoPilot JSON file, we can actually have it to complete the registration here in this case. Assign it a computer name. We can select, we can start I cheated again. So basically we just hit Shift F10, which is our love and hate function, because it's actually kind of a security hole as well, right? That we actually can access the disk and the machine in system context without it being installed and without any authentication at all. But basically, this is what we do, right? We just press Shift F10, and then we run the command, and it will download it. In this case, his sample script from his tenant, and it will install everything we need, including the AutoPilot info script, so we can get the hash from the machine, and then we can launch the tool. And then we come to this where we actually can see that yes, it has internet connection, yes, it has TPM to version 2. You can run different PowerShell commands, and you can go to the docs if you want to do that as well. And then you can say, wait for Intune to assign the profile for this device, and then I can register it. So it's really, I think that's really cool as well. He has some really cool stuff he's working on. So be sure to follow his webpage, OSD.cloud, and follow David Segura on Twitter as well to see what all his crazy things he's up to. But it's really, really cool stuff. It's true OS deployment in the cloud or from the cloud. So with that, I think we are done with our session on community tools for today. And we like to reach out and thank all the sponsors, of course. If the community tools creators are the heroes, you are their fellow heroes as you make all this event available or possible at all, providing your sponsorship. And thank you to all the organizers for organizing an amazing event with a great organization behind it. So thank you, all of you out there. Is there anything else you want to add, Ronnie?
I think you said it all.
Sounds
you
great.
thank them all. So, and I think that's the important part.
So we can leave this up a couple of minutes left. Are there any questions in there, or anything in the chat, or anything else we need to do before? No, it looks like you answered all the questions, Ronnie. So thank you for taking the time to listen to us this hour, and don't miss the following session after this. Have a great rest of the event.